I don't understand this. We have been here for 3.5 hours. Now, how many different ways do you want me to tell the same story? We sat down there on company orders to get this thing, which destroyed my crew. Why don't you just check out LV-426?
Because I don't have to. There have been people there for over 20 years, and they never complained about any hostile organism.
What do you mean? What people?
Terraformers. Planet engineers. They go in, set up these big atmosphere processes to make the air breathable.
Ripley, we have to talk. We've lost contact with the colony on LV-426. These colonial marines are very tough hombres. They're packing state-of-the-art firepower. There's nothing they can't handle.
You're going out there to destroy them, right? Not to study, not to bring back, but to wipe them out.
All we know is that there's still no contact with the colony, and that the xenomorph may be involved.
We sat down on LV-426. One of our crew members was brought back on board with something attached to his face, some kind of parasite. Because just one of those things managed to wipe out my entire crew in less than 24 hours. And if the colonists have found that ship, then there's no telling how many of them have been exposed. Do you understand?
Run a bypass.
Looks like the barricade did hold.
Any bodies?
No, sir.
Last stand. Yo! Stop your grinning and drop your linen. Found them.
Alive?
Unknown. Over at the processing station. Sub-level 3, under the main cooling towers.
Looks like a goddamn town meeting.
What's the position? Can't lock in.
Talk to me, Hudson.
Multiple signals.
1986 saw Alien splat onto the big screen. Created on a budget of $18 million, the movie gained back $131 million worldwide, so was a huge financial success for Fox. After the success of Alien in 1979, 20th Century Fox and Brandywine wanted to pursue with a sequel. Walter Hill, David Giler, Gordon Carroll, and the then head of the studio, Alan Ladd Jr., were pushing forward with ideas. However, Ladd soon left the studio, and new owners at Fox put the Alien sequel on the back burner. After another shift of studio heads, David Giler and Gordon Carroll explained their ideas of the sequel as a cross between Southern Comfort and the Magnificent Seven, which got everyone at the studio excited. While James Cameron was starting pre-production on The Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger was held up by Dilo De Laurentiis for 9 months while he finished work on Conan the Destroyer. During this time, Cameron attended a meeting with Fox executives, Walter Hill and David Giler, as well as Gordon Carroll, about writing the Alien sequel. After they had read his script on The Terminator and apparently loved it, Cameron wrote a 90-page treatment, and Fox loved the ideas he was proposing. He was told that if his directorial debut, The Terminator, was a success, then he could direct Aliens. After the surprise success of The Terminator, Cameron began work on Aliens. With the script completed, Cameron had to get Sigourney Weaver back into outer space, as the script focused heavily on the character of Ellen Ripley. 20th Century Fox, however, did not want to hire Weaver due to her being a female, and they thought after the lukewarm success of her surviving the first Aliens, a male star was needed to push sales and appeal to a wider audience. Plus, she was also asking for a little bit more money after the success of the first Alien. Reports speculate around the $1 million mark. Cameron stated he and producer partner Gowan Hurd would back out of the project if Weaver wasn't hired back. 20th Century Fox reluctantly paid the $1 million salary to Weaver. Like Alien, the production was set up in England in 1985, filming at Pinewood Studios and the now decommissioned Acton Power Station, mainly due to the futuristic look, the walkways, and the overall industrial designed interior. This setting was also used in Tim Burton's 1989 movie Batman during the Access chemical plant shootout. Even parts of the alien hive had to be removed when Batman was being filmed there. Conceptual artists Sid Mead and Ron Cobb were brought on to design the world of Aliens. Sid designed the Sulaco dropship and APC vehicle, while Ron Cobb designed all of Hadley's Hope and the colony on LV-426, much like they did on Ridley Scott's Alien. The American crew and even Cameron himself had difficult time adjusting to working conditions in the UK. Throughout the day, tea breaks and lunch breaks were bulked filming. But as someone who has worked on movies before, the hours are long and exhausting, food is limited throughout the day, and an Englishman just cannot work without his brew. Many of the UK crew thought highly of Ridley Scott and didn't think Cameron was experienced enough to take on the large task ahead. He had even tried to preview The Terminator for them, which hadn't opened in the UK, but many ignored the opportunity, which obviously caused more tension. While the English crew didn't believe the film would top the previous entry, they did, however, remain professional throughout the shoot and created, I think, some of their best work. Now, for the cast, we have a great selection of actors to bring these brilliantly written characters to life. Michael Biehn plays Corporal Dwayne Hicks, the tough, kick-ass soldier who always remains calm under pressure. Original actor for the role, James Remar, was fired after a drugs charge. Michael Biehn was then swiftly cast after working with Cameron on The Terminator. The late Bill Paxton plays Private Hudson. His character starts off tough and egotistical about his firepower and the easy defeat of the enemy, but soon becomes petrified when the superior firepower and muscle of the Marines is useless against the aliens. Jenette Goldstein plays Private Vasquez, a tough, strong female who doesn't need any male help and settles all her problems with her massive smart gun. Also appearing to have a slight soft spot on fellow Marine Drake. American comedian Paul Reiser plays company man Carter J. Burke, who assists Ripley with her battle against the company after she destroyed the Nostromo. But Burke also helps her locate her daughter, who has sadly passed away years ago while Ripley was in hypersleep. He is very much a company man and is there to assist the Marines, but ultimately cares about the colony and the company's assets on the planet. Real Vietnam vet Al Mathews plays Sergeant Apone, the team's leader. Mathews appeared most notably in Superman 3 as the fire chief. Mark Rolston from Rush Hour and Reiser plays Drake, another smart gun soldier, and definitely has the hots for Vasquez. He is definitely the muscle of the group. Carrie Henn plays Newt, the only survivor on LV-426. She is rescued by the Marines and soon develops a mother-daughter relationship with Ripley. Carrie was chosen after an extensive casting call for young children. She had no acting experience prior to Aliens and decided to teach later on in life. We have William Hope as Gorman, who leads the rescue mission on the planet. He has a hard time earning the respect of the Marines due to his inexperience in the field and causes the deaths of many of them. Thankfully, however, he does redeem himself later on in the movie. And finally, we have Lance Henriksen as Bishop. He is also another returning actor from James Cameron's previous movie, The Terminator. He plays the onboard synthetic Bishop and is also written to be a little bit shady. Lance had openly said that if this movie failed to be a success, he would indeed quit from acting. However, this has now gone on to be the role he's most remembered for. The movie starts 57 years after the events of Alien. Ellen Ripley has been drifting through space where she is found by a deep salvage crew. Still alive, she is taken to the space station Gateway to recover. Company man Carter J. Burke has been assigned to her and informs her her daughter passed away many years ago. While stressing to company board members that an alien killed her crew and resulted in the destruction of the Nostromo, Ripley's flight officer status is revoked. Angrily, she argues that the company members should check out LV-426, to which they explain colonists have populated the planet for over 20 years and never reported any problems. Soon, however, contact with the colony is lost, and Burke persuades Ripley to accompany him and a group of colonial Marines to investigate. Ripley takes a dislike to the onboard synthetic Bishop due to her experiences with ash on the Nostromo. Upon landing, the colony is deserted, with melted floors, facehuggers in laboratory testing tanks, and damage and destruction shown, but no colonists. After searching around, the team come across a young girl, Rebecca, nicknamed Newt, who has survived. However, the trauma is preventing her from explaining what happened. Soon after, the colonists locate and show the Marines that they are all grouped together at the processing station. Under the cooling towers, the Marines head out in the APC to investigate. They come across numerous dead colonists stuck to the walls with some secreted resin. After destroying a chestburster, they are attacked by numerous aliens, and many of the Marines are killed due to Gorman's inexperience. The remaining survivors escape in the APC and arrange evac. However, the dropship crashes due to an alien attack, and the Marines are now stranded on the alien-infested planet. They set up gun turrets and barricade doors to try to survive. However, the nuclear reactor was damaged during the earlier battle, and the survivors have 4 hours to escape the nuclear destruction of the planet. Android Bishop wiggles down a long tube to set up a remote terminal and use the colony's satellite dish to bring down the second dropship from the Sulaco. Meanwhile, company man Burke tries to infect Ripley and Newt with facehuggers to bring back specimens of the alien for the company's weapons division. Ripley and Newt narrowly escape certain death from the facehuggers with the help of the Marines. After the team are about to execute Burke, the lights go out and the aliens attack. Hudson, Vasquez and Gorman are killed during the battle, and Hicks, Ripley and Bishop escape in the second dropship. Ripley, however, goes back to the hive to rescue Newt, who was taken by an alien during the escape. She loads up with a pulse rifle and a flamethrower, heading out in search of Newt. Ripley stumbles upon the Queen and narrowly escapes with Newt, but the Queen's in hot pursuit. They escape the planet just in time as it explodes. On board the Sulaco, Bishop is attacked and ripped in half by the Queen. Ripley suits up in the power loader suit and narrowly rescues Newt from the Queen's attack. The alien and Ripley have an extremely amazing battle and fall down the ship's outer hatch, and she ejects the Queen from the ship. After putting Bishop and Hicks in hypersleep for the journey back to Gateway, Newt and Ripley soon join them, having survived the horrors of LV-426. Aliens is a true classic sci-fi film and has well and truly stood the test of time. The $18 million budget was well utilised by Cameron, and it's clear he definitely had a solid vision in his mind from the start, but he also possesses the technical mind to make it all work. I've seen many movies with similar sized budgets and they look awful, probably where the budget was cut on effects that clearly needed the finance invested into them. Cameron, however, goes all out. He utilises many effects techniques at the time and blends them all up to achieve the best results. Miniatures and models, rear projection work and mirror tricks really make this movie seem like the budget was 3 times as big. Cameron was wise to use the talents of visual effects artists Robert and Dennis Skotak, who I believe have created some of the best work on this picture with a shoestring budget. The alien suits were flexible latex parts sewn onto leotards, allowing the dancers and gymnasts who portrayed them large amounts of movement and allowing Cameron to be more creative with his camera setups and angles. My hero, Stan Winston, created the Alien Queen. A life-size mock-up was created using black bin liners and foam to get the desired look and movements in LA. Once at Pinewood, the final puppet was created. The Queen stood 14 feet tall. 2 puppeteers were hidden in the abdomen to move the arms, and other puppeteers were required to operate the smaller arms, tail and jaw mechanisms, ultimately bringing the Queen to life. Careful camera angles and setups were required to hide the crane wires, however. Fortunately, Cameron foresaw these issues and developed his action scenes around it, again showing his clear vision for the film. The power loader, which was built by John Richardson, was also a full-size prop suspended by a crane. Due to the difficulties moving it, a stuntman was built in behind Sigourney Weaver to help her walk and operate the arms. Again shot with expertly chosen angles, none of the tricks are given away and it looks flawless. A miniature loader was created with a scaled down Queen. These were used for when the Queen is sucked out of the Sulaco and when Ripley tumbles down the escape hatch. These models are built and finished at high standard and shot in the appropriate frame rate, so the illusion of scale is not given away. The first time I watched Aliens was with my mum, who would often tape sci-fi movies on VHS. I was hooked from the start. It was so dark, gritty, but also had tremendous action. I thought the design of the alien itself was fantastic and truly something I associate with the word alien. I had seen the first Alien movie, but however I just thought it was very slow and you have to be in a right frame of mood to watch Alien. Visually, it's a gorgeous film to look at. However, when you're young and your attention span isn't that good, a film like this with loads of action is definitely the way to go. This movie definitely ignited my passion for film and my drive to be a part of the filmmaking industry, with brilliant performances all round. The most obvious standout performance to me and many fans around the world is Bill Paxton as Hudson, such a well-written and developed character. He starts off so confident with the inevitable win over the aliens, but cracks once things go wrong. However, he digs deep and finds the inner courage at the end, fighting the hordes of aliens in the control room. It was such a bummer when he died. Ripley herself develops along the story, growing from the first movie. Clearly traumatized by the events of Alien, she sees no escape from her fears, but has to confront them once more, but ultimately must hold herself together for her own sake, but also for the Marines and especially Newt, who are all dependent on her and her knowledge about the alien. Even smaller characters like Gorman, who yes is responsible for killing many of the Marines, but in a strange way saves Vasquez in the air ducts with an act of self-sacrifice. That's the brilliance of Cameron's earlier writing work. He makes you care for the characters when they are killed off. You're emotionally invested in them, as opposed to the Alien and Predator films, but we'll mention them at a later date. I feel much of his recent writing efforts have sort of pushed the characters to one side in favour of more flashy and elaborate, but brilliantly looking CGI. Many compare and prefer Aliens to the first film, which I think is unjustifiable. They are totally different movies. Aliens is slow paced and really relies heavily on the tension building scenes, making you terrified of even a shadow on the wall. While Aliens does have an amount of tension, it is over a lot quicker and does not linger on it. We have jump scares, loud music cues and sounds to make us jump. But the action is definitely what keeps us not only entertained, but also tense throughout the film. It's the same elements and cues as the first film, but played in a slightly different way, with the theme of the movie being based around war and Vietnam, which had only really ended 11 years before the movie. Cameron was trying to put his own spin on the alien genre, which I think worked. It was fresh, expanded the story, but felt connected to the first movie. It seemed like the natural progression after the events of Alien. Aliens is a true classic for me, and the best of the series. It simply ticks all the boxes. The extended director's cut is definitely the version to own if you're interested in checking it out, with extended scenes of the Marines setting up the gun turrets, Carter actually having a sit-down conversation with Ripley about her daughter passing, and at the end, Hicks reveals his first name to Ripley. Personally, I feel the series should have ended here. All plot threads were tied up, our favourite characters survived, and the aliens were destroyed. We didn't need another sequel. However, that being said, comment below and let me know what's your favourite film of the Alien series. And please, as always, hit that subscribe button below and the little bell icon to receive notifications from my channel. And I'll see you all again on the next review. Until next time, this is Silver Screen Reviews, signing off.
Secure that shit, Hudson.